Yo, what's good, everybody? What's good? What's good? This is your boy, LaShawn Sugar Ray Marston, host of the Sugar Ray Show, here with another incredible episode, man. Today we have a brother, man, who has become one of my favorite people, one of my favorite artists, one of my favorite, not just a rapper, but truly a musician, a person who's committed to his craft and not just spitting lyrics, but crafting messages within his music, man. Brother Descendent, who I met only a few years ago, man, but who's, his message through his music, man, empowering people, all people, sharing Black history, Black culture, activism, man, addressing so many of society's challenges and ills as it relates to humanity and Black people specifically, man. Honored to have you there, brother. I'm going to read some of your bio. We're going to get right to it.
Appreciate you having me, bro. No problem.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Descendant is a champion of Black culture at home and abroad. Through songwriting and filmmaking, the Brooklyn-based MC seeks to illuminate and celebrate the cultural strength of the Pan-African diaspora, specifically of African-American art. Starting from his hometown of Newport News, Virginia, he dives into the roots of African-American storytelling, music, and oral history. They become his vehicle to not only remember the history of his ancestors, but also connect with the communities around him. He believes that through history, African Americans can liberate themselves creatively and financially, and furthermore, that it can relate to African people worldwide. He follows in the footsteps of his hip-hop forefathers, both musicians such as Mos Def and Tupac, but also directors like John Singleton and Spike Lee. He invites you to join him on this journey. I gotta read more because it's all powerful. He believes that through history, African Americans can liberate themselves creatively and financially. Descendant has toured numerous times across the United States, and his work has brought him to the likes of Sway in the Morning, A&R Room Music Festival, A3C Festival, and Chuck D's 2 radio shows, And You Don't Stop, and Songs That Mean Something. He regularly performs at mainstay NYC venues such as SOB's, The Shrine, Electric Bowery, The Well, Rockwood Music Hall, The Delancey, Rubulad, and Star Bar. Yo, Descendant, you've done a lot, brother. You perform a lot, you wear a lot, man. You carry a lot. Talk to us, brother. How you feeling today?
Feeling good, man. Just good to be alive, man. Because every day is a struggle, is a battle. So I'm just blessed to be here. To be honest with you, bro. Blessed.
Powerful. So let's get right to it, man. Let's talk about growing up in Newport News, Virginia, as they call Bad News, VA. Right. At what age did you know that you wanted to be a hip hop artist? At what age did you really start getting into hip hop and music, and not just liking it, but actually wanting to, be part of that craft?
That's good. That's a really good question. Because, my early years of education I learned through music, through rhythm, through pattern. My mom used to teach me, like address, phone numbers, and things of that nature through rhythm, through pattern, through music. But it wasn't until like junior high when I started to write poetry or write rhymes. And high school is when I started to put it in like song format and perform on stage. It was the performance on stage and the process of writing a song, recording it, and having it come out. Like, it was those two things that I really fell in love with, and always was chasing that feeling. Because that feeling, and I can't describe that feeling of performing in front of people you don't know, and they receive your message or whatever that you have, good or bad, you know what I'm saying? And to have that power and to use it wisely as the best way as you can. It's just something that I fell in love with. So that's like began my career as a rap artist.
Nice, powerful. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about high school, right? Because there's a difference between just writing words, writing poetry, writing lyrics in a book, right? And actually writing to perform. So if you can remember what was going on in your life at that time that said, you know what, I'm taking this to the next level, because everyone doesn't. So what was happening that inspired you or motivated you to go that extra step in performing?
As far as taking it seriously as an actual career?
Yes.
It was the talent shows in high school. I went to a high school called Woodside High School. and they had these talent shows called Woodside Live.
Okay.
And at these talent shows, I was in a particular group, and these talent shows would be like hundreds of people,
Nice.
not just students, but people in the community, at the school. It was we had a huge auditorium, and you know, a funny story. The first time I actually performed, my mic was off, like they had technical difficulties, and I got booed.
Oh no!
I got booed off stage, but it was one of those things that inspired me to go harder.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know, starting out, I wasn't 100% confident in my writing skills at that time. So I was like stealing lyrics from other artists while I was still freestyling and learning how to write song structure and doing all this stuff. So having that situation just made me more confident to be who I am, to be confident of what I say, speak with conviction, or you know what I'm saying, whatever it is. It taught me a valuable lesson, although it wasn't my fault, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it just made me want to go harder. Like that, I caught the bug then. Usually, it's the first time somebody performed, they get booed. A lot of times people like, yo, I'm done. It's over. But for me, I was inspired by that. I was like, all right, well, next year or next semester, you know what I'm saying? I'm coming back even harder.
Nice.
You know
what
I'm saying? Yeah,
and
it was.
Because you mentioned that, you know, and I was going to ask you that a lot of people, if that would have happened to them, even if it wasn't their fault, they would have said that, oh, well, it's God, it's not for me, right? So where did you get, you know, where would you attribute the resilience that you had to have to say, you know what, no, even if it wasn't my fault, I'm still going to go harder to become better? Where did that resilience come from?
Belief in myself, confidence in myself. And just getting booed, because hearing those boos, and it was on tape you know what I'm saying? It was just like, nah, I can't go out like that.
I can't go out like that.
I can't go out like that. Like we gotta do something different. And I just remember like constantly writing, trying to get better, constantly working on performing after school. Like I used to stay after school and practice and rehearse in front of people, rehearse in front of girls, and whatever it was to get better. It's like, nah, I just can't, I cannot go out like that. So it was just really like confidence of, I know what I'm capable of, and it's not that. So it was just confidence in myself that made me not want to give up.
Powerful. So let's talk about if you can remember, right? So obviously, you know, this was in school. So if you can remember being booed, people who were there, now your next performance, if there's some of the same people, what was their response to actually now really getting to see you perform? Like after being booed, after witnessing that, now witnessing you really do it, what was the response?
Screams, yells, and applause, and daps after the show, and like props from other rappers at the time locally that I respected or that I admired, not only from my group that I was in, but from people who were just watching from the crowd. We had somebody who was an exec there. They loved, although nothing happened from it, but they loved our performance. And that's what I was looking for. Just recognition of, yo, this dude is dope. He got something to say.
Nice. Powerful. So if you can remember still, all right, so let's still stay there. Let's stay in, you know, Virginia. What was your biggest highlight during that time, if you can remember?
As far as music wise, biggest highlight. That's pretty interesting. Biggest highlight. Honestly, it wasn't even performing or anything. My biggest highlight was being in the studio with Chauncey from Blackstreet.
Powerful.
I think that's probably my biggest highlight of inspiration of, yo, this is literally in where I'm from. He literally has, I don't know if he still has it now because this was years ago, but he had a studio in where I'm from. And just to see, like, he had this like 3D set of Biggie in the studio. He was playing unreleased songs. I don't know if you remember. I think it was the Gap, when the Gap had commercials about blue jeans.
Yes.
He had a he played us his version of Blue Jeans. Like it was supposed to come out. It didn't come out, but he was just playing like unreleased music he had with Fabulous and like all of this stuff. And I'm just sitting in the studio like, and at the time I was a teenager. I'm like, yo, I'm in the studio with somebody who no diggity. You know what I'm saying? Don't leave and all of this stuff. And I'm like, it was mind blowing to me. It was mind blowing. I didn't rap for him. I didn't record anything. I didn't play him my music.
He was just chilling.
You know what I'm saying? I was just chilling, and to be in there and for him to like ask me questions. Yeah, what you think of that?
Powerful.
So how that sound to you? All of that stuff. I'll never forget. I'll never forget that. So that was probably in Virginia. That was probably my biggest highlight.
Powerful. How has your right before we move on to New York? How has your family received you as a music artist?
In the beginning, no. in the beginning, it wasn't received well because you know the assumption of being an artist is like, oh, you don't get paid. When you know the reality of being discovered or being making it, you know what I'm saying, is very slim to none. So in the beginning, no, they wasn't too fond of it, to be quite honest with you. Eventually, it came around to it, but yeah, in the beginning, nah, not really. They supported it, like they came out to like the talent show in high school or that, but it was like after high school, it was like, all right, what we doing here? You know?
Absolutely. So now let's move forward. What inspired you, and at what point did you know that, you know what, I'm going to New York? How did that translate for you or transpire?
I always wanted to go, just growing up in Newport News, Virginia, and seeing, you know, New York does a great marketing when it comes to New York, you know, the bright lights and downtown and Times Square. So growing up and watching that, and you know, majority of my favorite rappers at the time were coming from there. It was always like, I gotta go. And once I went, 2003, during my high school years, and just to see it, even though it was cold. This was around Christmas time.
Oh, it's cold.
Just to go up there, and this is when New York was New York. Still, before gentrification, they still had the bootleggers on with the blanket on the joint. They still like 1/2 was still black owned stores, and this is when the NBA patches was like popular. This when New York was still New York, and going to Brooklyn to Fulton Street, you know, mall, and like it that put a bug in me. It's like, yo, I gotta make it back here. Nice. So ever since 2003, I always wanted to move to New York. When I went to school out in Raleigh, North Carolina, and one of the reasons why I wanted to go to school out there was to meet Ninth Wonder and Little Brother.
Powerful.
And I think I did a pretty decent job as far as independently moving out in Raleigh, North Carolina, and moving around the circuit and doing shows, touring. But I feel like I was hitting a glass ceiling on what I wanted to do. And it is so easy for independent artists to become repetitive, doing the same thing and respecting different results. As far as doing the same shows, but the same people are coming out. There's no new people. You're not gaining anything. And I was like, all right, let me start traveling. So once I started doing shows back in New York, I'm going to Atlanta, I'm going to DC, going to Philly, I was like, yo, I got to get out. I got to move again.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, it was supposed to be a group of us to move to New York. But eventually, you know, I sometimes I still like, I wish I wouldn't have waited for other people.
Yep.
But once I figured out, okay, nobody's moving their feet, so it's just time for me to take a leap of faith.
Wow.
And decided to move to New York. It was going to be 3 places: New York, Atlanta, or LA. And I felt like transportation-wise, New York would be great because I could just get on the train. I don't necessarily need a car. So I was like, all right, New York it is. And I felt like my sound is more New York than
Yeah.
it is LA or Atlanta at the time. So I just felt like New York is the best place to be. So that's what made me like do that. That's what made me make my decision.
Powerful, powerful. So before we talk about New York more, I want to talk about, because you mentioned something, being in North Carolina, but traveling to Atlanta, to Philly, to DC to perform, even in New York still. How difficult, here's something I'm always interested in. How difficult was it as an independent artist to book those shows, to do all of that stuff? Like, what was the biggest challenges in that?
The biggest challenges was just platforms actually responded. Like, I'm the type of person, as an independent artist, you're literally doing, this thing about, I don't have a team. I do it by myself. That's not a flex. That's exhausting. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not only are you writing songs and recording and doing music videos and shooting photo shoots and all of this stuff, you literally got to also book your own shows. So it's steady, constantly DMing people, emailing people like, hey, I'm coming down this date, that day. Do you have any available openings for people to perform? You know what I'm saying? And it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and I'm not exaggerating, hundreds of emails, hundreds of DMs that you got to send out just to get maybe 3 people to respond, maybe get 5, maybe get 10. So it was just difficult in getting people to respond. But once you respond, to actually build that relationship, and that's how I was able to go to Atlanta and do a show. That's how I was able to come up to New York and do it through. And that was most of the time was through social media and using social media actually for networking. You know what I'm saying? And not just looking for likes and views. So it was difficult, but eventually I felt like I got to the right people that landed me to growing my fan base to people who would have never heard of me if I didn't do these shows. So
powerful. If you could pick one place, which was your favorite place to perform? Favorite city? Which was your favorite city and why?
And now you put pressure on me. At that, you talking about at that time?
Yeah, at that time, doing those independent tours, right? Coming from North Carolina, doing all those. What was your favorite place to perform and why?
It's kind of a tie. Well, no, it's not a tie.
It's no tie.
When I did, I'm thinking about when I did Mississippi. But when I did Mississippi, I was in New York. So that doesn't count. So when I was in Raleigh, North Carolina, Atlanta was probably my favorite spot.
Why?
The relationship that I built with this platform out there called Straight Out the Den. It's a blog platform. And shout out to Justin, black man that was really into independent artists of all sorts, and he ran it. He has a team. He became a DJ, and again, we just kept in contact through social media because he will post a lot of my songs and my albums and my music videos. This is during when the blog era was really popping. And he would do these shows. So when I came down there and I asked him, he was like, look, and he kept it real with, look, man, you could definitely do it. Unfortunately, hey, I can't pay you a lot, or if any at all, but I could definitely give you a position to open. And I was like, that's all I need. That's all I need. And to this day, I'm still cool with him. We build a relationship. Not only that, because of that shows and the other shows that I've done multiple shows with him in Atlanta. Yeah. I built a fan base in Atlanta. Powerful. So I gotta say Atlanta was probably my favorite. And it was a lot cheaper because I could just drive. Yeah. I didn't have to take a flight. I could literally drive and come right back. You know what I'm saying? So that was dope.
Let's talk about that real quick. Let's talk about, as an independent artist, performing, because a lot of artists, right, that I've heard of, that I know personally, they have this ego thing. They think because they're good, they should be paid off the rip, right? So talk about you, sometimes performing for no money, but still giving the same enthusiasm, still giving the same energy, even though you weren't getting paid or getting paid, little to peanuts?
Because you got to think, no, don't nobody know you. So everyone has to start somewhere. And I was willing to take that risk as long as budgeting isn't very important. Although you're losing money when you go on tour because you're financially taking a hit with food and room and board and all of this other stuff. But you got to look at it like, okay, what can I do to maximize this trip? So I'm not looking at it as just losing money. I can bring merch so I can balance out my budget to maybe, okay, I gotta spend $500. Maybe I can make $250 off of selling merch and music. You know what I'm saying? That could be a way. And on top of that, I'm thinking about for the years to come. I'm thinking about longevity. I'm thinking about actually shaking. It's almost like, I hate using this example, but it's very similar. It's almost like what politicians do. They go to cities, shake hands, kiss babies. It's the same thing with artists. But we actually being genuine about it because we actually want to connect with people through the music. So in order for me to do that, okay, of course, I'm not going to get paid off rip, and that's fine. So I got to make sure that I'm networking with every single body that is cool or that like my music, who walked up to me and be like, yo, I enjoyed your show. Word, yo, let's follow each other. Hey, I'm coming back on this day. Hey, let's connect. So maybe when I come back, I can hit you up. You may know another show. You may know another club that I could go to. And it's building that community. So, all right, next, maybe 6 months later, I come back to Atlanta. Now I have not just a fan base, but a community of people that I can DM and be like, hey, what's going on? Yo, I'm coming December 3rd. Is there anything going on between December 3rd and December 6th? You know anything? Yeah, I know this club. They do this open mic. They do this, they do that. Boom, I'm in there. You know what I'm saying? And I got an idea of how to build more. So it's about capitalizing off of, it is the music business, but at the same time, it's a people business too, because without people, the music doesn't go anywhere. So that's why I tell people all the time, I can have all the confidence in the world. I can say I'm the best rapper ever. I can say I'm the most dangerous rapper coming out of Queens or wherever. But if nobody buys my music, nobody listens to my music, what good is that? If it's not moving anybody, if I perform and nobody comes up and nobody's moved, nobody cares, what good is me saying that I'm the dangerous or most dopest rapper? It doesn't hold any weight. Until you get people behind you or in front of you or beside you and say, yo, that's the next dude.
That's the guy.
Or that's the next girl, or that's the next woman. You know what I'm saying? We need people in order to do that. So that's how I was able to build a relationship in Atlanta. And when I went to LA, when I went to Philly and New York and DC, Cincinnati, you know what I'm saying? Or when I went to Mississippi and when I went to Dallas and like all of these places, I was able to make a connection with people that I'm still like a lot of those people I'm still in connections with through social media, through Twitter, through Instagram, through Facebook, through TikTok, whatever that looks like. You know what I'm saying? And just try to do my best in keeping that relationship as much as possible. So
no, I love that, brother. I love that because that speaks to who you are as a person, right? And I think that's one of the biggest things missing from all artists, not just independent artists, not just music artists, actors, comedians. They don't really want to connect with the people. They want to do their job. They want to get paid. They want to go home, which is not a bad thing, but it's like you get more value and you give more value when you connect with people, right?
absolutely.
So, you mentioned something that I think, something that I've always, attributed to my success is longevity, long-term thinking, seeing beyond the moment, seeing whatever money I'm spending now, if I'm not getting paid, right, for an event or for a speaking engagement, it's an investment in my future. It's an investment in my career. This is not just something I'm doing, right? Why do you think so many artists miss that part? Like, what do you think? Like, why do you think so many artists miss that long-term thinking and seeing their money going out? Not just, I'm losing money, I'm not doing it, I'm not getting paid, but as an investment into their future.
It's a double-edged sword. And I make jokes about this all the time on my Instagram when I do skits.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
about janky promoters because they're also out there. They do take advantage of artists. They call it starving artists, and I hate that term, but I call it desperate artists that are just desperate to perform, and that's it. They're not having the business mindset of actually talking to and speaking to fans. They just want to perform and like, yo, look, I perform. And most promoters know this, so that's why you have promoters charging artists to perform, charging $200, charging $300, $500 to perform for 3 minutes, 2 minutes.
Crazy.
But they'll say, hey, you're performing in New York. So performing in New York and being that, again, New York has that marketing tag of, oh, it's the Big Apple. And a lot of artists get taken advantage of and they get burnt like that. So it's just like, all right, I know my value now. I know what I bring to the table, and I know I have fans, and I know how many people I can bring out. All right, you're going to have to pay me something. You're going to have to give me something besides paying me for exposure, because that's the new thing now. Oh, I don't have the money, but I can pay you for exposure. But when you go out there, there's nobody there. And you know what I'm saying? Or it's not organized. It's unprofessional. And it's tacky. You know what I'm saying? And like nobody wants to come out to this. Or you pretty much found out you get scammed. Because there's a lot of DJs, there's a lot of janky promoters, and not all, but there's a lot of people out there like that. They're just trying to take advantage and get a quick buck out of people who are desperate just to perform. So I would say you have to use your best judgment when it comes to performing for free and what type of platform it is. You have to really sit down and really look and say, what am I really getting out of this? Am I going to enjoy this when it comes to performing for free? Am I going to get a fan base? And is this a platform that people actually want to come out and support? Or is this just another opportunity for the platform that's not paying me to look good because they got artists coming out? And 9 times out of 10, a lot of these venues that these promoters book, artists can book themselves. But they don't know that because they don't have that mindset of, yo, I can do my own show. They just want to perform. So I think that's where artists are starting to realize their value and what they really bring to the table. So it's just like, no, you're not going to just tell me you're going to pay me an exposure. You're going to have to give me some money. You're going to have to pay me because, look, this is how many fans I have. This is how many fans I actually have coming out. And you just can't give me exposure and just think, hey, I'm coming out because of exposure. It has to make sense. So I think that's where the double-edged sword comes in when it comes to performing for free.
Powerful. So now let's talk about, one thing that, I love about you and your music is that since the first time I heard you when you came to Queensbridge, from the ground up, I had never, my ear is not really to the streets with independent artists, because for the most part, a lot of them are trash, right? A lot of them are trash. A lot of them in this generation is mumble rap, and I'm an '80s baby. I grew up similar to Tupac, Rakim, Nas. I grew up on Scarface and even older music. So it was like as the music changed, I was like, I'm not even paying attention to none of it. But dear mutual brother of ours, Donnelly Rodriguez, shout out to him.
Shout out to Donnelly.
He was like, yo, I got my boy Descendent. He's nice. I was like, Descendant. He's like, yeah, he's from Virginia. I was like, Virginia artist. I was like, I mean, that's the man, bring him. Like, this space is open for anybody, right? It's not my space, it's our space. So bring him. And when you came, brother, you blew me away because not only is your crowd presence, right, good. Again, you are a great performer, as you know, right, as you've heard. But your lyrics, what you say matters. What you say is a message. What you say, people can listen and understand what you're saying, right? So how did you, or at what point did you, know that, or was it always in you that your music is directly tied to your culture, your heritage, and activism? Like, how did those two things meet?
My favorite artist of all time is Tupac Shakur. So I emulate, you know what I'm saying? I emulate a lot. I don't try to sound like him or look like him, but the formula that he uses, I call it being well-rounded. Like, Pac has music that you can perform at church. Pac has music that could be in a club. in a strip club, in the
Yep.
street, for kids. And it's not that he goes in the studio and says, yeah, I need to write a song for kids. It's just that's what he's feeling that day.
Powerful.
And this is what he wants to share with you.
Powerful.
And I come from that same perspective. Even when I first started rapping, I always knew what to say. My issue was my flow in the beginning just wasn't as tight as it should be. So I always knew that having substance, that's what I like to call it, because people love to call it conscious. And I don't really I don't really vibe with that at all. I'm a human being with a conscience that just so happens to be a rapper. You know what I'm saying? Knowing the difference between right and wrong. And although I still do wrong because I'm not perfect.
Yep.
And that's what the music is about. And that's what Pac did too.
Yep.
He knew right from wrong, but he still did right. He still made mistakes and he still talked about it. And that's what I do in my music. So I just make sure to be human. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we are trying to figure it out. If there's billionaires right now that don't know it all.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? So I just come from that perspective. And I really appreciate you saying a message. Because I'd rather, you know, even if the message is negative, it still needs to be heard. People still need to listen to it. And that's how I come when it comes to writing songs and being in the studio. That's what I think about when I write songs. You know what I mean? So
powerful. So let me ask you, right? Since being in New York now, right? What has been your biggest challenge being an out-of-state artist? Because you know New York can be tough. New York can be tough if you're not from here. So what has been the biggest challenge coming from out of state, having good music, but still being an out-of-state artist, particularly from Virginia, which New York and Virginia has had beef in many ways?
I don't know. That's a good. I guess people. I guess the scene being very cliquish.
Yep.
I guess again, artists really fall in love with being the hottest. Like, in when I was in North Carolina, people was falling in love to being the hottest in the city. I'm the dopest in the city. I'm the dopest in the city. But I'm like, okay, outside the city, even in the city, nobody really knows you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you're doing shows, but the same people are coming out. So how are you the hottest if, you know what I'm saying? It just makes sense. So out here, I feel like in New York, people just want to be the hottest in their block.
Facts.
Or their neighborhood or their borough. And they stay secluded to that. They don't come out. They don't go to they may not go to the Bronx. Or, Brooklyn people may not go to the Bronx. Bronx may not go to Queens. Queens may not go to Harlem. Harlem may not go to Staten Island or whatever it is. And I noticed when I first got here, I was going everywhere. Yeah. Even if it's by myself, because I'm still trying to figure out, okay.
Yeah, you did.
Where are the talented artists and how can I build not only a network with the artists, but still build my fan base at the same time? Mm-hmm. And again, what I found was people are comfortable doing the same thing over and over as long as they feel like they're the hottest in the room or any venue.
Yeah. And
so when you performing by myself or going in places by myself, people is real cliquish. So it could be a hot song, but people got their arms folded and they just look. You know what I'm saying? And just like once you get off stage, a few of them are like, yo, that joint's tough. Yeah. I was rocking with that. So I guess that's my biggest challenge. But other than that, I don't care. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna rock out anyway. Everywhere that I went to, at least one person was like, yo, I rock with you. How can I follow you? How can I do this and do that? As long as I do that, it's cool. And again, still traveling outside of New York because again, people are so caught up with being the hottest in New York, in the city or the borough or the block, they forget to travel outside. They forget to go to Philly or New Jersey or Canada or LA or Chicago. You know what I'm saying? So that's my biggest challenge is just people being cliquish.
Powerful. No, I see it too. I see it. And obviously I'm not in the music scene much other than supporting, right? But I see it as well, man. And it's like, it's so bad. I was at my nephew, has a cannabis business and he did an event in Long Island, a few weeks ago. And I went And one of the guys who was there was promoting his artist. He was like, my artists are the hottest in the city, the hottest in the country, right? And as I listened to them, I was like, yo, they're so trash, right? Like they're so trash, right? Like the energy was high, but like what they were saying, it was nothing, right? And I was like, yo, we really are caught up on this hottest thing. Yeah, they might be the hottest in their block, but like I don't think, and this is also a trick, right? I know you mentioned tour. One thing I realized is that, from being, I'm 39 years old, so I've been around artists my whole life, right? Especially coming from Queensbridge, right? On all levels, or major levels, and then independent, smaller levels. And one thing I noticed is that people use going on tour as success. And I guess it's success in some way that you traveled, but sometimes is you can go on tour, but like still nobody knows you, right? Maybe you got booked in a city because of a connection, not because your music is good, right? And I think people have used that like tour as now like a scheme, right? Like, oh, I went on tour over here, over there, and it's like, but like, did you sell merch? Did you sell music? Did you gain a bigger following? How you been on tour in 10 cities and you still at the same place in terms of your level of influence, your level of connection, right? So I want to talk about, I mean, you spoke about a little bit, but if you could go deeper into your personality and where'd you develop that deep desire, right? Because it's a desire to connect with people wherever you are, no matter if it's one person or 100. Where did that come from?
My desire to win.
Mm.
My hunger to be the best that I could be. And the only way I could do that is connecting with people. Powerful. So whatever I got to do, that's, that, sometimes I had to get out of my comfort zone, out of my shell. And not to say I do everything, because you got to, everyone know your limits of what you cool with doing and what you not cool with doing. And once you know that, go all out.
Yes,
go
sir.
all out. And I've been on tour. Tour is not, people think tour is a vacation. No, it's work. And most of the time, you in new cities, you going first. You know what I'm saying? And because, don't nobody know you, you going first. So you may not have a big crowd. But whoever's in that crowd, by the end of the night, you better make sure some of them feeling you connecting with somebody. You know what I'm saying? You sold a t-shirt, you sold something. Sometimes, hey, I've been on tour. Sometimes I do a show and I may not sell nothing at all, but I connected with people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? Like you got to look at it from that standpoint, because it's not all pieces of cream. It's not all, success. Sometimes it's I don't even say failures. There's lessons to be learned. It's like, all right, well, I can't really rock with that platform anymore, or that venue, because their sound's not right, or their mics never work, or they were late and they made this. You know what I'm saying? You got to pick and choose. Like, all right, if I come back to LA, I'm not going to this joint. I may want to rock with this other platform that does this or does that. You know what I'm saying? You pick and choose. You reflect on what's successful, what you want to do over again. But it's just important to what's your willpower. And I have a phenomenal will and phenomenal drive and effort.
Yeah, you do.
Excuse me. A lot of times people lack effort. That's one of the number one reasons. Not the solely number one, but it's up there. It's like top 3 100%. Of the lack of effort that people give to their art, to their music, to their music videos or whatever. I don't understand how you come out with a full album and once the album's out, you just stop talking about it. It's just weird. Or, it's just old school. After 2 weeks, it's old now. I got to look for it, because everything's so microwavable. Everything is like now. And once you do that, it's you build a high tolerance. Now there's thousands of songs coming out daily, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And you got to try to cut through that. And the best way to do your best to do that is actually have that genuine connection with people. So it's just my will to win at the end of the day, and not letting nothing get in the way of that.
That's so powerful, and I love that for you. Because I think that it shows. It shows in your performance. It shows in how you communicate with people. It shows in the music itself, right? And you mentioned something. Someone once said, "Hard work beat talent when talent don't work hard." And there are tons and tons of talented people, but they think their talent alone is going to get them there. But you mentioned that they don't put the effort, right? And it's crazy because I remember in school, you get an E just for effort. So it's like, if we can remember that, if you just put a little bit of effort, chances of succeeding at what you're doing is going to be higher, even if your talent is not there yet, because people respect effort, people respect drive, people respect those who in their craft take time to speak to them, take time to introduce themselves, take time to laugh with them, joke with them, get to know them. That alone is going to make you successful. Like myself, in my work, poetry, spoken word, filmmaking, even when I was just selling incense, by the train station and selling soaps and natural products and selling my book, there are people who supported me financially who didn't even want what I was selling. They just wanted to support me because they knew I was on my grind. And they knew that my grind wasn't just about money, but it was connected to a greater purpose. It was connected to service. It was connected to making my community better. It was connected to so-called giving back or building community. So let's talk about that. If you could talk about some of the messages, some of the, things you talk about in terms of Black culture, some of the plights of Black people and activism that you speak about in your music. How do you choose like what issues to talk about? How do you select like what's your process like that? What's your process with that like?
It just depends on. It's a good question. It depends on what I'm feeling that day. Honestly, that's how I go into it when it comes to speaking on those frustrating topics. Because at the end of the day, it's frustrating. So it's frustrating topics for Black people to be treated like human beings in 2023.
Facts.
Same issues I'm going through. My father went through. My grandfather went through.
Yep.
My great-great-grandfather went through. My great-great-great-grandfather. So it's just like it's a constant hamster wheel of the same nonsense, the same BS over and over again. So I try not to sound repetitive, but just pick on different topics that really like bother me. And I know it bothers other people, and I don't want to come from a place of sounding corny but it's a place of frustration. And I make sure I put that into the lyrics and into the delivery of how I say it, or the way the way I say it, the way I perform it on stage, the way I may show it in a music video to depict the message that I'm trying to get across that may bring the lyrics to life. You know what I'm saying? I just make sure that it's coming from a real place. And some of it is not all positive. Some of it is not, all right, let's lift every voice. No, it's most of my stuff is not like that. You know what I'm saying?
Not at all. I'm glad.
At all. It's real gut punch in your face, spitting, sweating. You know what I'm saying? Like frustrated. You know what I'm saying? Angry, aggressive.
Yeah.
But still intelligent.
Very intelligent.
And still encouraging people to use their minds, but not in a conscious way, but just in a real way, just by being yourself wherever you at in the world, wherever you at in the stage of life. So it just comes from the heart, honestly, just coming from the heart, and whatever I feel, write it down. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I may have to go back, all right, that's a little bit too harsh, or maybe I should rewrite it this way. But at the same time, it's still coming from a real place. So, and I make sure I know I'm doing something right when I piss the right people off.
Yep.
And I motivate the right people to keep pushing.
Fire.
So.
Fire. Powerful. So at the Woodstock Festival, that you performed that recently, right? Shout out to,
Thanks to you. Thanks to shout out to my mans.
Come on, man. It ain't nothing, bro. It ain't nothing. Don't even mention it, man. More coming. But at the Woodstock Festival, you performed the song, if I'm not mistaken, Hands Up, Don't Shoot, right? You perform a song like that, something like that. You perform something really powerful.
It's probably sick, tired. You're probably talking about tired.
Sick and tired, yes, tired, or whatever it was. Can you talk about songs like that song, but it's songs like that are really emotional, right? I'm sure for you to perform. And do you care who's in the crowd when you perform that, or you performing just what's on your mind and your heart at that time, or you tailoring it to the crowd?
Yeah, I don't care. Number one, I don't care who in the crowd. If it's what I'm feeling, I'm saying it. I've performed that song Tired. I performed that song around the country in majority, and a lot of them were white crowds, but I didn't care because it needed to be said.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Every time I did a show, there was always something going on that would make me want to perform the song. And in fact, majority of the time, I start off the show like that. You know what I'm saying? Depending on where I'm at. Like for the Woodside Festival, I didn't plan on doing that song because I know it was a more family event. Yeah. I didn't plan on it, but when it was like, "Oh, you got more time," I was like,
"More time."
All right, well, I definitely want to do this song then, since you're giving me more time. You know, but yeah, I mostly perform that song. I'll open up my show with that song, and I got some pushback from people, but I don't care. But I'm like, good, because that's you're the person that I want to piss off, because you're the reason why we in this predicament.
You're the reason you're tired.
Fighting. This is the reason why we're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like, I've been on tour last year and had outbursts from older white people, and they didn't like it, and they just, you know, they showed their disgust with the song and their facial expressions. Some lady in Dallas, I remember in Dallas, Texas, and a lady shouted, "Not another Black Lives Matter song."
Wow.
I just kept performing. Like, you're not going take me off my square and why I'm here. You know what I'm saying? You're just not going to do that. And again, I'm glad she did that, because you let me know where you stand.
Yep.
And you also let me know you're gonna get pissed off with the song. Good. Because this is why I performed this song. For people like you. You know what I'm saying? So I don't care where I'm at. If it's something on my heart, I'm gonna say it.
I love that.
I don't care how you feel. I don't care if you don't like it, or you feel like all lives matter, or whatever ignorance that you think you can say to me. I'm gonna perform the song. I remember one time I performed it, and it was a protest going on. And you know, I opened up the show with it. Because a lot of people didn't know at the show what was going on.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is a perfect opportunity for me to educate them on why they hear the noise.
Yep.
And when I expressed to them why they hear the noise, people were like, "Oh my God, I didn't know." And then, when did this happen? I'm like, "Yeah, this happened yesterday." "Oh, I didn't see it on the news." I didn't answer. "Well, this is why I'm here." And I remember, and this was in New York City, it was only a handful of Black people, maybe 3, including me, maybe 3 Black people, right? So at the end of the show, a Black woman, the only Black woman that was there, she walked up to me and she was like, "I know how difficult it must be to perform that song, and the representation that you probably need is not here." She was like, "It's only me and another," I think it was like another brother that was there. But she said, "Thank you for still performing it, regardless of who was in the crowd." I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Especially in these types of spaces where they don't know. And majority of the time, they probably don't care, because they're going to go back to their life and live cool. But she said, "But you took that risk." And I'm like, whatever I got to do to relay a message, even if it means I'm never performing at this venue again, so be it. But at least I was me at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel about it. So I'm glad. Thank you. And I wrote a script to that song, Tired. And the movie short film is coming out soon.
Nice.
Hopefully in August. So I'm really excited about it. Again, it's going to piss a lot of the right people off.
Yes, sir.
But it's going to spark dialogue, and I can't wait.
I can't wait neither. I can't wait to see it, man. I can't wait to support you, brother. Like, you're doing an incredible job, man. So let's real quick go back to Mississippi. You mentioned Mississippi earlier, right? Why was Mississippi such a special performance for you?
It was a special trip. Shout out to my man. I call him the Dicky Doc, y'all. Shout out to my man, Dr. Greenfield.
Nice.
Professor from my school, from my college, St. Augustine University. He put me on this trip to Mississippi. And he introduced me to Mega Ever family. Mega Ever's family. So I got to meet his daughter, the one who saw her father be assassinated in front of the house. I got to speak to his widow, his wife, on the phone. She now lives in California. I got to speak to her and to hear her voice and to talk to his grandson, who, if I'm not mistaken, he's teaching at Mega Ever's College.
Yep.
But this was like 2017. But like that's what I was going on a trip for, and to go to the trail of Emmett Till, and to go to the gas station where he allegedly, which we found out later a few years that he never did it, to where he supposedly did it, and to go where, because the family is still alive and well, and they got their home business down there, and to go to where they left the body. And to see the bullet holes and these signs of where Emmett Till, or this is where, it's still happening, and it was special for me because it was my first time in Mississippi, and I performed with an all brass band, and it was an all black band.
Powerful.
Downtown Mississippi, which is mostly blues, but I asked them, hey, can I rock with y'all for a few? I did like 2 or 3 songs.
Nice.
And I don't know if I still got the footage, but that was just special to me because I never performed. It was an all brass band.
Incredible.
You know what I'm saying? And to be in Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, for that trip, I was just overwhelmed. So it meant a lot for me to be there and to experience that, for sure.
Powerful. Yo, brother, we'll be wrapping up soon. In 3 minutes or less, man. Tell me some things that you have coming up, outside of the movie that's coming out in August, or whenever you're ready for that. What are some things you have coming up in the next few weeks, few months that you're excited about?
Of course, shows. Always doing shows, man. I got 3 shows coming in July.
Nice.
A show. I don't know when this is airing, so I have a.
Well, this is airing Friday. This interview is airing Friday.
Oh, it's airing Friday. So I got a show on Friday. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
So, and I got a show July 1st in Brooklyn as well. I got my homegirl, Miss Melody Monroe. Excuse me. She has a birthday show in Brooklyn. She's from Atlanta, but she's coming up here to celebrate her birthday. Nice. Celebrate 50 years of hip hop, you know what I'm saying, at the Brooklyn Music Kitchen. And I got 2 more shows, 3 more shows in July. I don't know if you've ever been to Rockwood Music Hall.
I think it sounds familiar. Maybe before, a long time ago. I can't remember.
Unfortunately, they're facing being closed for good.
Oh, no.
Rent is skyrocketing, and Rockwood Music Hall has been very essential to my music career ever since I moved here to New York. And we're doing a benefit concert the second week of or the first week of July. I think July 7th, if I'm not mistaken. Even if I don't do it, I know some friends that's doing it.
Yeah,
because we in the works of that, so I want to speak it into existence now. Yeah. So taking donations, that venue cannot close because it's not only to hip hop, but to all genres, to bluegrass, to rock, to soft rock, to R&B, to jazz. You know what I'm saying? To rock and roll, to merengue, whatever type of genre. They are very open doors, and I made a lot of money there as an independent artist, and they do very good business with independent artists as well. And I don't want to see that venue close because I have a lot of memories there. Not only that, but I was able to connect with people worldwide from not just in America, but from other countries who visit in New York, and they go to Rockwood to hear new music, and they became a fan of mine. So it's a lot of history. So we're doing a benefit show for that, taking donations, and yeah, man, those are the next things that I'm working on in the near future. But in the far future, I'm working on this new album, and I'm very excited for, and can't wait for people to listen to.
Powerful. So, brother, man, if you got some last words of encouragement, words of inspiration, words you want to share with the viewers, man, drop some words for us, brother.
As long as you got a heartbeat, it's not over. Point blank, period. As long as you're able to see the next day, it's a second chance. Whatever ambitions that you have in your life, go for it full throttle. Stop listening to people. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It's going to be very difficult. People are going to walk out of your life. People are going to talk behind you, behind your back. People are going to laugh at you. People are going to literally call you stupid. People are going to think that you're nothing but a struggle. People are going to like, you know, you're going to get, sometimes, you know, it may get lonely. Matter of fact, it will get lonely.
It will.
But it will be worth it because you're doing what you're called to do. You're doing your purpose. And I'm not saying everybody got to be an artist, but whatever your purpose is, I don't care if that's being a business owner of a restaurant, or being a farmer, or a carpenter, or being a radio DJ, or being a, you know, whatever that is, being a professor at a college, being a parent, whatever that is, go full throttle. And that's my message today.
Yo, Descendent, man, thank you for your time, brother. Thank you for your commitment to your craft, because you got a fan in me, man. You got a supporter in me, brother.
Appreciate you, brother. For real, man. Thank you.
I will, because you made me really, like, you know, aside from a few of my close friends who are, you know, independent artists, you know, who I love and support, like someone who I just met, you made me love it deeper, because humbly, like, your music is the music, like, of Tupac, right? Like, and Tupac is my favorite artist, and your music, your performance reminds me of him more than any other artist that I know personally that I've heard, you know. So thank you for that, for keeping that spirit.
Thank you.
You know, not trying to be perfect, but being human and allowing your humanity to show through your art, right? Thank you for, you know, just thank you for coming to Queensbridge. You know, blessing us with your talent. I got to bring you back. You know, working on something at the park. You know, Alfonso, you know, I'll talk to you about that offline, man. See if we can bring you back for another Queensbridge performance. And yeah, man, keep on going, brother. Keep on going,
brother. I really appreciate that opportunity.
Everybody, this is your boy LaShawn Sugar Ray Marston, host of the Sugar Ray Show, wrapping up another incredible episode with Descendent, incredible artist, hip hop artist, man. I would call him a revolutionary artist from Newport News, Virginia, here in New York City. He's been all over, man, making a name for himself, you know, by connecting with people. I think it's important that we all remember that. Your connection with people is how you gain more power. Doesn't matter how talented you are. Connect with people. Give maximum effort as often as you can, man. Believe in yourself. Go full throttle and know that you can do it. You can do it. If one person did it, you can do it. And as always, be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. We all we got, but we all we need. Peace.